Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Choice Evidence 1983, and their tagline is, "It dawned on me that he was a wizard." The original LP is Soul Knight XD, originally posted to r/Am I Overreacting December 30th, 2025. Am I overreacting when I refuse to look at my dad after what he told us? Hi, Reddit. This is my first time posting in this community, so please bear with me. I am 17, and my older sister, 21, is in a very messy family. I don't know what to do now that everything is messier, and I've been thinking about it too much. To start, my sister and I grew up knowing our parents fought often. Our dad isn't the greatest. When I was around 4 and my sister was 8, our dad cheated on our mom, and around 2021, our dad cheated again. My sister was the first to find out when she saw a text on his phone. Now, to the main point. It's been a while since anything messy happened. There are still some hiccups in our family, like our dad trying to fight us, but that was it. I thought everything would be just that. But yesterday, my sister and I were hanging out in our room, and we were having a good time. Our dad came into our room and said that he needed to tell us something. He told us that we have a little sister, not from our mom. The kid was from another woman. At that moment, I didn't know what to do. I was starting to cry because he proceeded to tell us that the kid was 3 years old. 3 goddamn years old! For 3 years! I thought everything would stop there. For 3 years, I thought everything would just be me, my sister, and my mom trying to get over him and his mistakes. He told us that we shouldn't tell mom yet, that he needed to be the one to tell her. Yesterday was also our grandma's birthday. Our dad brought the kid along and told us to bond with her. My sister told me that she couldn't even fathom trying to bond with the kid because it was just so sudden, and that she can't do it. We were forced to take family photos with everyone and the kid, and I couldn't even smile so happily because it was all too much to take in. I've cried over and over again. I've been thinking about how our other family members would see us when they already belittle my sister and me too much for having separated parents. Our dad tried to take photos with me, my older sister, him, and the kid. I genuinely didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be in the picture. I tried pulling away, but he just gripped my arm and forced me to be in that picture. It felt so wrong to be standing there with this kid I barely know. It feels wrong to see my dad be so caring towards this kid, to treat her so nicely, when he didn't treat us like that when my sister and I were growing up. He called us names, cursed at us, and hurt us while he treated this kid like she had been there since the beginning. I can't bond with her. I don't want to, because it feels like I'm betraying myself and my mom. Our dad owes us a lot. He lacked being a father. He lacked being a husband. He had the chance to make it up to us, but it just feels like all his mistakes were falling on us. I've been thinking whether I should have tried to at least talk with the kid, but I couldn't look at her. I can't even look at my dad. I've been thinking if I can even call my dad Dad anymore. I don't know what to do anymore or how I should feel. It's eating at my conscience. So please, tell me, am I overreacting? Relevant/top comments. Commenter 1. Yeah, you need to tell your mom. Hope he responds. I want to, but I don't know what the outcome will be. We still live with our dad, and I don't know what he might do, not only to me, but my older sister as well. Commenter 2. Your feelings are absolutely valid. You don't owe anyone a relationship just because a parent says so. Your father is looking for a way to get past looking like the deadbeat dad he is and monster. I'm so sorry you're going through so much at 17. You can't make someone change to what you want, but only you can change how you react to it. Commenter 3. I'm so sorry for the hurt your dad and his actions have caused. I hope at some point you're able to express your feelings to him as adults. Perhaps seek counseling and ask that he come with you. I feel bad for his new child that didn't ask to be brought into this, nor has done anything to anyone. Best wishes for peace for you and your family. Update 1, May 28th, 2026, nearly 5 months later. Update. They knew. Hello, everyone. It's been a while since I interacted with the sub. For context, you can read my last post here. OP then provides a linky. To summarize what happened last time, on December 29th, my dad revealed to my sister and me that he had a kid outside of our family before we left to celebrate our grandmother's birthday. The kid was brought along, so my sister and I could bond with her. Now to this update. A few months back, maybe around January or February, I overheard my dad talking to his kid on a call. He asked if she liked the toys she got, and that it was from our cousins. Our family knows about this kid. They knew. And they gave her old toys and clothes from their now grown kids. This made me feel even more frustrated than ever. Not only is he telling this child to call my sister and me big sisters when we don't want to, but our family on our father's side knew about her. And today, while I was washing the dishes, I heard him talking to his kid, and he was talking to his mistress. He was still in contact with his woman through the kid. I admit that this sounds like I have so much of a grudge against him, and that makes me sound like I'm making him look like a monster. But he's still a man who failed my mom, my sister, and me. My sister and I tried hinting to our mom about the kid, asking her questions about how she'll feel if she finds out that dad has a kid other than us. All she said was that she's long over him, that if he does have one, then it's not her business anymore. I'm still mad. I have incomprehensible feelings. I want out. But for now, this is my update until he actually tells our mom about his kid himself. Edit 1, I apologize for making it sound like I'm mad at the child. No, I am not. It's just that I do not understand how I feel about her. I still can't accept that I have a sister outside of our family, but this is the reality I have to live in. Edit 2, I'm sorry for all the comments telling that I should tell her. This is pressuring me to tell her even more. Those are fine, but blatantly attacking me isn't helping. I see who you take after. Way to prioritize yourself over your mom. That isn't fine. I'm still 17. I'm still a minor. I'm constantly under a lot of pressure. If you do not want to understand or read the last post, then please don't attack me. I'm sorry. Relevant comments. Downvoted commenter. You're overreacting. It's his life. It happened. There's a kid here. He has to co-parent. You need to get over it. OP responds, he can co-parent all he wants, but using "it's his life" makes it sound like this is fine. No, it isn't. It's hard to get over it like my mom because I looked up to him. I gave him so much hope before he told us he had a kid outside of our family. I believed I was healing, then he dropped that bomb on us. The amount of hurt he gave is hard to accept every single day. OP responds to a downvoted commenter about her father failing her mother, him being in contact with the child's mother, OP's resentment towards her father. OP responds, it is also our issue. I grew up thinking he's the greatest man alive. That idea shattered the minute he hit me on the head and yelled at me that I was a demon child when I was acting like a child back then. It's not resentment. I simply cannot accept the fact that I have a sister outside of our family. I will come to terms with it someday, but not right now. There are so many things happening in my family that I specifically did not talk about. He wonders why we don't talk to him properly, and he wonders why we lost respect for him. Our mom works herself to near death, forgave him once, and he still cheated on her. He will stay in contact with his other family because that's his responsibility. But once my sister and I grew up, he never cared for us anymore as he did with his family. Now that's why it hurts so much that I'm furious. He made a mistake to our mom, and he made mistakes to us. Our mom doesn't care, but my sister and I do, because we're still hurting. Commenter 1. Not overreacting. A sibling he hid from you but told the rest of the family? Sucks. But I'm confused. Are your parents still together? He sounds like he was an abusive father to you and your sister. If your parents are no longer together, have you thought about staying with mom and cutting your dad off or going limited contact? OP responds, they aren't together anymore. We used to live together with just our mom, but we had to move out of the apartment because of the renting costs and high tuition fee. She lives somewhere else with low rent because her work is far. We can't move with her because our university is in a different city. Commenter 2. Not overreacting. You are choosing your father over your mother by not telling her about his kid. Tell your mother. She deserves to know. OP responds, downvoted. I want to tell her so bad, but now is not the moment. I'm graduating my senior year of high school. I will tell mom, but not now. Commenter 3. Do you think she'll be grateful that you waited? You don't think she'll feel even more betrayed as you do, realizing people knew and didn't think you deserved the truth? OP responds, there are things that I've told her so late that she will ask why it took so long to tell her. She never once criticized or hated us for that. The one who should have told her shouldn't be me nor my sister. It should have been our dad when he found out. My dad's family never told us because we're viewed as poor kids without anyone to rely on. She will be upset. She will get mad. But the last thing she'll do is condemn us. This whole comments thing is encouraging me to go tell her as soon as she gets home or when she's not exhausted. I'm sorry. Commenter 4. Not overreacting, just a question, how long have they, editor's note, OP's parents, been separated? OP, since 2021, but not legally divorced. Commenter 5. Not overreacting in the least here. These feelings you're having are absolutely normal. I would feel the same way. It's not the kid, it's not your dad, it's the disrespect he did to your mom that you're angry at. You'll probably not be able to get over this, but you can choose to make a bad situation at the very minimum tolerable. Your mom's response tells all. She knows. Deep down, she knows. So, what do you do? In my personal opinion, I would make the most of the situation and try to just accept what is. You can't change it. You can't punish your dad for what he did. He's obviously trying to be there for this poor kid who knows he's her dad. Most guys would just dump the girl and kid and let them grow up not knowing who their father was. Imagine putting yourself into her shoes, how she feels, how confusing this must be. If you learn to try and forgive, not only will you help this girl cope with your dad's actions, you will also keep yourself from overthinking/overreacting and stressing yourself out. It won't be easy, and it shouldn't be. His actions are despicable. You can subtly let him know how bad his actions are, but at the same time, keep the peace and the family dynamics together. Opie responds, it's her dad. He can be the better dad than what he should have been. It's hard to forgive when things just don't go the way you hoped it would. I don't forgive him yet. I'm tolerating him until I'm out of this mess. And you're right. I'm mad at what he did to my mom. I still am. The kid doesn't deserve to be in this mess like me and my sister. It's hard to view this man as my dad. My feelings are just scrambled. Thank you for understanding. It helps ease something in my heart. Commenter 6. So, your father's family has a relationship with your father's kid, and your father has a co-parenting relationship with his child's mother? I mean, be as mad as you'd like, but get used to it, because this is called normal. Your mother doesn't care, so why should you? You're overreacting. Opie responds, from where I live, cheating is such a common thing that it's called normal. I get your point, but the mental toll it gives to someone isn't. I lived blissfully, thinking that my dad was the greatest out there. I care because he was the man I looked up to. Now he's just not the same. He blames us for what he lacks. Final update. We told our mom and she's taking legal action. May 30th, 2026, 2 days later. Hello everyone, I'm the guy that some Redditors believe I'm siding with my cheating dad. To catch you up, you can read these posts about what this situation is like. First post and second post. Okay, to start, I want to thank the people who tried to understand and the people who have told me to tell our mom. It encouraged me to talk to my sister about it. To those who were attacking me and claiming I'm siding with my dad and betraying my mom, no. I am not siding with the man who made our lives worse. And no, my mother did not think she was betrayed. The other morning, I felt this heavy feeling in my chest, and I had to talk to my sister about it. I told her that I can no longer hold in the pressure crushing my chest and that I wanted to tell mom so badly about the child. Someone in the comments on my last post pointed out that 6 months was too long. And they were right. Those 6 months have been difficult, and not telling my mom has been eating at my conscience. My sister told me to call her, and we can tell her together. We called our mom and told her the situation and how it made us feel. We told her that it's been hard to tell her because she was so stressed from work that she gets sick often because of it, and that we didn't want to burden her even more. She told us that she had expected this long ago when things started falling apart, that whatever is bothering us will never burden her. She said that our dad has a life now that doesn't involve us, so he shouldn't be in ours. She didn't condemn us, just told us that we're wasting tears on a man that doesn't care anymore, that we should focus on our studies and graduating, that our dad, his kid, and his mistress will never stop us from doing better in life, that he's just another curb that will pass. She told us to wipe our tears away and be brave for her and ourselves. After the call, it made me realize that I was still trying to forgive him and give him hope, that I was wasting my forgiveness on someone who will never treat us like he treats his new child. She's my sister, regardless of what I do, but our mom told us that we just have to accept it. But it's our choice if we do or do not want to bond with the child. Today, we're staying with our mom in her apartment that's far from our dad. She talked to us about what'll happen. She's now in contact with an attorney and will be talking to our father about the properties and legal separation. She told us that she wants to liquidate the properties, so me and my sister will have financial backing, so what she owns will not be given to our dad's illegitimate child. That what's hers are ours and ours alone. Our mom is working hard with the attorney to settle everything. Our mom made it clear to my sister and I that if our father cared about us, he wouldn't be like this. But the harsh reality is even in the beginning of their marriage, he refused to settle to what he already had. They will be separating, and that is for the better. Me, my sister, and my mom deserve to be free from his problems and his family who belittled us. Once this is over, we won't be interacting with our father's side of the family and possibly him. They've made a fool of us, and we're over it. Tomorrow will be a new day, and it will be a fun swimming trip. Before I end this, I just want to say that if someone you know or you're going through this, just know that it will get better. You can take your time, you can speak up once you're ready. You don't need to force it out if you have fears, as I did. Just know that when things feel secure, and you finally have enough courage to speak up, do it. We all move at our own pace of recovering and moving on. No one can tell you when to react because maybe a problem hurt you so much that you refuse to speak up until you know you're safe. There's nothing wrong with prioritizing yourself, especially if you're still young like me. You don't need to grow up fast or grow a spine. Make sure you're safe, always. It's been hard, but things will get better. This is my final update at the moment. Thank you for reading. Concluding comment, OP on if she and her sister can go live with their mother. We're trying to look for a new place to move into. The only issue at the moment is that we can't find an apartment due to how busy she is with her very physically taxing work. We'll move, but we wouldn't know when. Yay, Reddit, bullying a 17-year-old who's dealing with a current family crisis. Woo, good job! I can't hold it against OP for being 17, even with her parents separated. Seeing her father giving the illegitimate child the kind of love and care and respect that they never received when they were growing up. And also finding out that the entire family knew about it, and it was kept a secret for 3 years. Also, just for like a little bit of math here, the first update was December 30th, 2025, and the affair was found out in 2021. The child is 3, add on 9 months. Yeah, the child is a product of the affair. And my guess would be, my tinfoil hat theory, the father probably was keeping it a secret because he knew it would be received so poorly. But because it was grandma's birthday, he didn't really have a choice because the grandma probably wanted her new granddaughter to be there. And so he had to bring the new child, and he also had to bring his daughters. So it was kind of just, hey, guess what, kids? It's gonna be your grandma's birthday, and you have a 3-year-old sister. Bond with her. Then throw in the emotional complexity of it all and just the fact that they're 17 in their senior year, and they're going to be graduating, and then Reddit's just like, wow, you're just like your piece of shit father, by the way. You're exactly like him. You know, the father who was physically and emotionally abusive to you. Yeah, you're just like him, and you're defending him. You little piece of shit kid. Good job, Reddit, for bullying a 17-year-old. You guys did so great. I'm so disappointed in you guys, you local invertebrates. Crazy thought, maybe we should give the 17-year-old some slack for being uncomfortable with the idea that they're being forced to have a relationship with their father's affair child that destroyed their entire childhood and perspective of them as a person. I don't know, I think that's a pretty reasonable thing as a 17-year-old to be upset about, and to not know how to properly address or confront those emotions. Crazy thought, I know. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is Big Platypus, posted July 13th, 2019 to r/relationships. This one has a content warning for physical assault, gaslighting, and verbal abuse. My 24 female, boyfriend 26 male, of 6 months, told me that I need to unlove the men from my past before I can love him. I've been dating Mark, damn, Marks are not catching a break, for 6 months, and have known him for around 8 months. I just moved to my current city 9 months ago for grad school, and Mark was one of the first people that I became close with. He's been really great and helped me feel comfortable in a new city. Recently, Mark and I said, "I love you," for the first time. Everything was fine for a while until he told me that I was the first person he's ever said that to. I was a little surprised, but not in a bad way, and didn't really make a big deal of it. He asked me how many other guys I've said it to. I told him 1. That seemed to bother him. Mark knows that I'm still occasionally in contact with one of my exes, Eli, and it has never been an issue for Mark. However, after our conversation, Mark asked me if Eli was the ex that I had said I love you to. I was honest and said yes. Background: Eli and I grew up together and dated from when we were 15 to 22. We broke up when I got accepted to grad school and found out I'd have to move across the country, because we realized that we'd had grown into different people and weren't going to spend our lives together. The breakup was extremely amicable, and we remained close friends while I was in town before I moved. And we talk maybe once a week currently, just basic, "How are you?" texts. Mark asked me how I feel about Eli now. I said that while I don't love him romantically anymore, he was a huge part of my life since childhood, and I still have very positive feelings about him and consider him an important person. Mark kept pressing, asking me if I still love Eli in any sense. I said no, I am not in love with him, but Mark almost didn't seem to believe me. He kept prodding me until I finally said that I'll probably always love Eli as a person and respect him a lot, but that I have no romantic connection to him and fully accept that we are different people now. Mark was upset by this. The next day, Mark told me that he doesn't think I can truly love him unless I learn to unlove the men from my past. I asked what he meant, and again, clarified that I am not in love with Eli, and he said that I should retain no love in any form for any other guys I've been with. I was quite honestly shocked and tried to explain to him that me loving someone as a friend is totally and completely different than being romantically in love with someone, and that he is the only one I have those feelings for. He insisted that I need to change my feelings about Eli. He almost seemed mad that I'm not resentful over the breakup. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Is this totally weird and out of line, or am I overreacting? Just to be clear, Eli and I talk very sparingly, probably 10 texts a week, if that, just to check in. I have no feelings for him anymore, but he was a huge part of my life for many, many years. And I don't think it's unreasonable for me to have generally positive feelings for him. Is Mark out of line, or am I? Edit, just for context, since people are hung up on the 10 texts a week, Mark and I easily exchange 50 to 100 texts a day, and we see each other multiple times a week, so I consider 10 texts to be a brief conversation. It's a very surface level, "How are you? How's work?" type thing. It's not in depth. Too long didn't read. Boyfriend says I have to unlove my ex before I can love him. I clarify that I love and respect my ex as a person, but have no romantic love for him. Boyfriend is deeply upset. Who's being unreasonable? Relevant comments. Peachy721. I personally don't think it's really appropriate to be in contact with your ex as frequently as you are, and that's what Mark is feeling off of. He's going to feel insecure that you spent that much time in a relationship with someone and you still speak incredibly highly of them and remain in contact. If the roles were reversed, how would you feel? OP responds, if the roles were reversed, I'd be fine with it. I think the attitude that a lot of people have towards their ex is weird. Presumably, you dated them because you liked something about them, but then you found out it wasn't going to work long term. As long as the breakup is amicable, why wouldn't you want to remain friends? I don't understand why we're supposed to cut people out if we're not romantically compatible. Also, if someone played an important role in your life and brought good things into your life, I see absolutely no problem with acknowledging that. I don't get why it's more acceptable to hate your ex or speak badly about them than it is to acknowledge that they are a good person, but it just didn't work out. Peachy721 responds further. I also want to add that I also think Mark's unloving comment is ridiculous. That's a part of your life before Mark ever came into it, and he can't take that from you or alter it. And it is okay that you still love Eli in some way. Mark probably doesn't wrap his head around that because you are his first love. Reddit user 622 comments, you can have positive feelings for an ex and remain on friendly terms, but talking to them weekly is a bit much. I get that it's sparingly, but if the situation were reversed, would you be comfortable if he texted his ex every week? The demand to unlove your ex, however, is ridiculous. We all have pasts. You've already explained your feelings as platonic, and he's taking it to the extreme. If you want to save your current relationship, stop texting his ex weekly and see if that helps. If he won't let go of this argument, it might be time to find someone who's less insecure. OP responds, I do understand what you're saying. However, just as a side note, Mark works on a two-person team with his ex and sees her every day in the office. They're not necessarily friends, but they have a friendly relationship. It's never bothered me, so I do think it's fair to say I would not care if the situation were reversed. Maybe this is just an incompatibility. Update, August 7th, 2019, 1 month later. Figured I'd update my post from about a month ago. Unfortunately, there wasn't a happy ending, but I am very grateful for a lot of the advice I received here. Thank you, Reddit, for helping me keep my head on straight. After I made my first post, I read all of the comments and thought about everything for a few days. A lot of people mentioned that they would not be comfortable with the frequency of my communication with my ex. I thought that was pretty fair. People also mentioned that Mark's behavior was pretty controlling and not okay. I also thought that was fair. I went to talk to Mark and told him that I understood if he was uncomfortable with me being in touch with Eli weekly, and that I would be totally willing to cut that down. I also reiterated again that I was not currently in love with Eli and hadn't been for a while. Mark was understanding this time and seemed happy with the fact that I offered to cut down my contact with Eli. But then I told Mark that although I was willing to do this, I wasn't happy with how he approached the issue and that I found his behavior controlling. I basically told him that I want him to approach issues in a more rational way and I would appreciate it if he opened a dialogue rather than just telling me what to do, and that I wouldn't put up with him trying to command me to do something, especially something so ridiculous. I said everything in the same tone as I used for the first half of the conversation. I wasn't yelling at him or admonishing him, just trying to let him know where my boundaries are. You guys, Mark flew off the handle. He started screaming at me. I obviously wasn't having it, so I got up to leave. He started throwing dishes and random kitchen items at me and grabbed me and slammed my head into the door jamb. I ended up with a nasty black eye and a busted lip. Luckily for me, a neighbor heard the commotion and called the cops. Mark was arrested and I was taken to the hospital. Yes, I am pressing charges and filed for a restraining order. Overall, it was a horrible incident, but I'm glad this happened earlier in the relationship rather than later, and I am forever grateful for the neighbor who called the cops. I am also grateful to most of you guys for telling me that I wasn't being insane in my first post, and for pointing out the early warning signs. It wasn't the best ending, but I'm okay, and I'm just glad it's over. Take this as a cautionary tale, I guess. Too long didn't read, tried to have a rational conversation with Mark, he gave me a black eye and a busted lip. It's over, thank God. Edit, I've gotten a lot of concerned messages, which I appreciate, telling me to watch out for Mark now, and that abusers are often at their most dangerous right after a breakup. Just to ease everyone's mind, I'm staying with a classmate, who Mark does not know for the time being, so I'm well protected. Thanks everyone. So I can understand initially being insecure with the fact that your current partner is texting their ex, 10 times a week pretty much. Or I guess actually the more appropriate, way to phrase that is they send them 10 text messages a week, which still isn't a lot. Like that's a childhood friend where they tried to date, didn't work out, and now they're just really close friends. 10 texts a week for a childhood friend is not a lot of text messages. And that's not even coming close to addressing the fact that he actively works with his previous ex. The previous ex who he apparently never said I love you to. I call bullshit. I think he's just pulling a manipulation tactic of, I've never said I loved you to anyone ever before. You're my first time. I guaranteed he pulled that same shit with his ex too. Which now he's leveraging that for control of, well, you're my first person that I've ever said I love you to, and you've loved other men before me. You have to unlove them for us to be together. Dude's just a controlling creep who's also a massive hypocrite. Like, OP can't maintain a just friendly relationship with their childhood friend, but he's able to see his ex on a daily basis and work with her? Yeah, OP dodged the bone-hurting rape big time, especially because this took place in August of 2019, and they'd been dating for 6 months. 6 more months of that, and that could have been, well, yeah, that could have been really bad. Considering when respectfully asked not to be such a controlling creep, he literally resorted to smashing her head into the goddamn cabinet door jamb. Yeah, COVID with this monster could have been a fucking nightmare. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is ex-friend Throw1, posted August 24th, 2026 to r/relationships. Content warning for body shaming, bullying, and mentions of an eating disorder. My, 21 male, best female friend, 20 female, has made friends with her teenage bully, 20 female. And I'm worried about her. This is a relatively new situation, but we've all known each other for years. My friend, who we will call Holly, and me were in the same classes at school for most of our school life, and we became friends because of it. Never been anything other than friends, as we just don't see each other that way. Holly was good friends with Laura from a young age. Laura and Holly, however, started changing. Laura was more of a shav, as it's called here in the UK, whilst Holly was still girly but more interested in rock music and stuff. Closer to a scene-type girl, but didn't really dress like that if people get me. Laura and Holly fell out at about age 14 or 15 because Holly started dating a guy Laura fancied. So Laura mercilessly bullied her, stole her boyfriend, and even when she stole her boyfriend, still taunted her. Holly was depressed at a young age because of it all, had to receive therapy, and ended up becoming anorexic because of it. Holly only really started recovering in the past 2 years when she left for university and didn't have to put up with Laura and her friends anymore. The problem is, however, Holly has come back from her university town for the summer to our hometown, and she ended up going out with some friends for a birthday party. And Laura was invited, that she didn't realize. Apparently, they cleared the air and are now friends again. I warned Holly not to trust her as she made her life hell for years. But she's a firm believer in people change, whilst I'm a bit less trusting. Holly must have told Laura my concerns because I got a message from Laura on Facebook saying I was jealous because I'd always fancied Holly, and she was ditching me for her. Which, to me, proved she hasn't changed, as her first thought was to send me a hateful message instead of actually addressing the previous issues between them. Adding to that, when I have seen and spoke to Laura in recent times, she hasn't seemed to have changed at all. So what should I do r/relationships? I'm not entirely sure why Holly wants to be friends with the girl who tortured her for so many years. Should I keep an eye on Holly to make sure she doesn't get depressed/bullied again, or should I just stay out of it? Too long didn't read, my best friend was bullied by her childhood friend during her teenage years. Now that we've gotten older, they're friends again. The bullying led to severe depression and anorexia for my friend. I'm worried that she'll get hurt again, but she isn't listening to me. Help? Update, August 25th, the next day. Well, this had a quick solution, so I'm posting now before I go to bed as it's nearly 2 a.m. here. Holly went out to a pub with another of our friends, Niall, tonight. They decided at around midnight to come to my house since they'd been kicked out of the pub since it was closing time. Niall mentioned to me that Holly had brought up her weight, which was a signal that things were happening like I'd expected. But I kept my mouth shut. Holly then brought it up herself in her drunken state about her weight and how she was fat again. I kept my cool, but said it's funny that you haven't mentioned your weight in about 2 years, but now Laura's in your life again, you bring it up. She went quiet, and Niall asked her if Laura had mentioned her weight, To which she sheepishly answered yes to. Me and Niall had a long conversation with her saying she can be friends with who she wants. She's an adult. But we were worried that she's only been talking to Laura again for 3 or 4 days and she's already brought her weight up. We reassured her she's not fat, and we said that in our opinion, Laura is just trying to get back in her head again like she had at school. We told her it was up to her what she did, but to remind herself how happy she had been without Laura and the other bullies in her life. She told us she understood, and the reason she wanted to be friends with Laura is because she was her best childhood friend. I knew they were close as children, but didn't think they were best friends, and the little girl inside of her always wanted her best friend back. Me and Niall said sometimes people change and they don't come back, and I told her I understood since my best childhood friend turned into a criminal, and I've always wanted him to come back. But I had to accept he was a bad person now, and the person I loved as a brother is no longer there. She agreed and said it would only get worse if she kept talking to Laura since the bullying had started already, and she was doing so well. Too long didn't read, Holly and another friend came around mine after a night out. She had been mentioning her weight, so we brought up about the bullying. And she admitted Laura had already started with the bullying again. We told her it's her decision, but it's not right that she's worrying about her weight already after being friends with her again for 3 days. She decided we were right, and she's going to go back to no contact. I wonder if a decade later if Laura is just an insecure high school bully, even in her 30s. There's not really much for me to say except Laura is just awful, and if you have someone like this in your life who's still just very much a high school bully, and they haven't changed, it might be better for your own mental well-being to kind of take a step back and keep them at arm's length. At a minimum. Like, what more can I say except Laura's just a shitty human being, and I hope that they've grown up since the past 10 years, but I tend to doubt it. But good on OP and Niall, at least that's how I hope the name is pronounced, for being actually good friends and standing by and listening to and sticking with Holly and kind of giving her a bit of a reality check that Laura is still a piece of shit human being. And despite the fact that you really want them to change doesn't mean they actually have. Also, it is extremely telling that Laura, when she found out that her gig was about to be blown open, that her response was not to try to amend things, but instead to attempt to cripple Holly's support network. Either she's catty and accidentally nefarious, or this is calculated and she knows exactly what she's doing, and she just wants to pick on Holly to make herself feel better. Either way, Laura, thumbs down. Boo! This post was collected by Shattenspringer. Waste of a read, literally no drama. The original OP is Strawberry Pretzel Pie, posted to r/legal advice June 5th, 2022. Pennsylvania. I'm being besieged, and I desperately need help. So my house is about 10 feet away from my neighbor's house. We live in a city and have no HOA. The neighbor has owned his property for about 15 years, does not live there, and has let it fall into disrepair. A tenant seems to live there on and off. We bought our house about 6 years ago. Our first summer here, we noticed the bees. During the first warm day of... During the first... God damn it. During the first warm day... God fucking damn it. If you're new to the channel, you're probably so confused. During the first warm day of summer, we noticed a massive cloud of bees swirling over our driveway between the two houses. As the days passed, we began to notice bees in our house. At first, it was a few. They would come in, nearly dead, and pass on the floor and various surfaces. Midsummer, we were finding dozens per day. They stung my husband, who is in a wheelchair and cannot get away from them quickly. He wouldn't see them, run over dead ones in his chair, and spread tiny streaks of bee guts all over the floor. I would have to clean these bees up several times a day. They stung our cats. We contacted an apiarist as well as a contractor who specialized in weatherproofing. We were trying to figure out where/how the bees were coming in. The contractor determined that they were coming in via the vents that led out of our house, and which cannot be covered up more than they already are for safety reasons. The apiarist determined where they were coming from, our neighbor's house, specifically the space between their exterior and interior walls, facing our driveway. He estimated, based on the size of the swarm and the activity he could monitor on the exterior wall, that there were, at minimum, hundreds of thousands of bees. We contacted our local government hotline. They agreed that it was an issue, but because the bees there are honeybees, they aren't considered a pest. We may have been able to get help with eradication, but we can't receive any help with relocation. Things have ramped up significantly lately. We have a dog. The dog is a moron and eats the bees. She gets stung in her mouth. She's in constant pain. We can't stop her from doing it without literally keeping her at our sides every single moment of every single day. She has also been vomiting up piles of dead bees onto the carpet. My husband can't use his wheelchair ramp on days over 65 degrees because it is literally too dangerous for him to ride through the storm. His disability assistant is allergic to bees and is afraid to come over on warm days now. On the days he does come over, he spends roughly 1 hour in the morning hunting down dead bees and cleaning the surfaces he has found them on. We cannot use our porch or backyard at all. Not only will we get stung, but the porch floor is like a bee minefield. So here's where we're at. We can't stop the bees from coming into our house. The bees can't be killed off, an inexpensive option, because they need to be relocated instead, an expensive option. Honestly, I'm okay with this and would be more than happy to pay for this service, except we cannot get a hold of the neighboring house's owner, who ignores any attempts we have made to communicate with him. He doesn't live there, so he doesn't care. We can't pay to have them removed because they aren't on our property. I don't think you can sue someone to move their bees. The way I see it, we have a few options. Start going to the vet in urgent care every single time we're stung, and then try to sue in small claims for damages until the neighbor gets fed up and finds it cheaper to just fix the problem. Is that an option? Is that a real thing? We can move, selling our house at a significant loss, and as my husband wisely said, there will be a swarm of bees everywhere we go. This one is just actual bees. Or I can lie, say it's my house, get someone to do the relocation and reconstruction, then just cross my fingers and hope my neighbor doesn't sue me. Just a joke, I think. Ask me again next time I get stung in the shower. Any advice would be helpful. Thank you for your time, and please enjoy my diagrams. So these images were made potentially in either Microsoft Word or PowerPoint. Definitely not Microsoft Paint though. So there's a square that says our house with a wheelchair ramp outline, and then our driveway, property line, and then a little like bumblebee image. Look at this cool bee I drew. And then the neighbor's house. The neighbor's house is clearly shown to be infested with bees. Then there's another diagram. This one might be made in Photoshop? I don't know. But we have outside, exterior wall, interior wall, then cavity, then at minimum hundreds of thousands of bees, then a bunch of little clip arts of bees thrown into the cavity. And then also inside neighbor's house, showing the fact that the bees live in the walls. Bunch of wallabies. Wallabies. That's a different kind of animal. Update, June 4th, 2026. 4 years ago, I posted asking for advice on what I could do regarding my neighbor's horrific bee infestation. I finally have an update, even if it is a little boring. At first, we tried to contact animal control, but they told us that it wasn't something they do. It was so long ago at this point that it might have been because it was an insect issue or because it was on private property. I don't remember. We then tried filing complaints with our city's non-emergency service. I ended up filing a few because we didn't actually get confirmation that a case was made the first few times. I don't know if this was a glitch or if someone saw the tickets and thought it wasn't something they should handle. I did call a couple of lawyers, but didn't end up hiring either. Mildly helpful though. I spoke with someone in our local government, not helpful at all. I reached out to the owner of the house multiple times. While he has replied to me in the past about issues, complete silence on the honeybee front. Over the years, I've called and written to so many people trying to fix this one problem. Here's what I learned from my many conversations. If you say that there is a bee infestation, people assume it is not that many bees. You just don't like the existence of bees and you're a huge baby. If you say there are hundreds of thousands of bees, people assume that you are exaggerating or incredibly stupid. Except for the apiarists. The apiarists I talked to were like, yeah, it sounds right. When you mention that the bees you want removed are honeybees, you are automatically considered a war criminal in the same vein as Stalin or Mussolini. At this point, my husband was like, well, guess we're stuck with the bees. I began to scheme. My husband got scared and helped me launch another round of appeals. Last year, something finally changed. I placed my yearly complaint, and for whatever reason, it was made into an official case. I was so excited. Then I got a letter in the mail saying that I had severe structural issues with the soffits of my house, and I had 30 days to rectify the issue. I didn't know what the hell a soffit was. It's the overhang that your gutters are attached to, if you're wondering. The letter had the inspector's number on it. I called Kenny, fake name, and honestly, he was just the nicest dude. He seemed surprised that I wasn't yelling at him or trying to get him to retract the claim. I just really wanted to know, what is a soffit? Are soffits important? Can we live without soffits? Were we in any immediate danger from the soffits? Had he not seen the bees? It turns out that Kenny somehow had missed the bees entirely. It was a cold, rainy day when he came out to inspect the claim. The bees are fairly inactive on days like those, so the dude came by, looked at the neighbor's wall, saw no bees, he turned around, he peeped my funky soffits, and he wrote me the equivalent of like a ticket, a government ticket. He was very kind though, and he gave me some suggestions on contractors he trusted. It ended up costing $12,000 to do that and related roof work. He also promised to come back on a warm day and look at the bees. I was terrified that maybe the swarm would split the day before. It's a thing in the honeybee world. Or it would be warm in the morning and cold by the time he got to the house, etc. So I sent him lists of bee stings we received over the years, photos of dead bees all over our house, and a picture of our dog, making a terrified face after binging on another buffet of dead bees just in case. That was over a year ago, and since then, things have gotten worse. A few years ago, we got another dog. We have two now. The old one didn't bite, no worries. That dog isn't stupid enough to eat the bees, but he's terrified of them, and because of that, barks at them whenever he sees them, and because they're around almost constantly, that means he barks at them almost constantly. We can't let the dogs into the backyard because one moron is eating the bees and the other thinks he's about to die. My husband gets stung all the time. I've managed to evade the stings, but I've had a few close encounters where there's a half-dead bee tangled up in my blankets or something. I haven't been able to invite people over with bee allergies, which doesn't happen often, but it's crappy when it does. So, a few months ago, I decided that something had to change. I have a friend who's one of those people that desperately wants to be a vigilante of some kind. Dreams of being a hero, that kind of guy. I told him I needed help with the bee problem. We coordinated with another friend's husband, who's a mason. Lastly, I roped my reluctant brother-in-law and enthusiastic gremlin cousin into the plan. I spent a few $100 on quick mix concrete, buckets, gloves, a tarp. The idea was that we'd wait for a cold day, lay the tarp between the houses, put on gloves, and throw globs of mixed concrete at the entrance to the hive. Yes, I know that the idea is insane. I know it would be difficult. I had a different idea of the texture of concrete than what it actually is. I know I could get in a lot of trouble. Lastly, I knew that if I sealed off this exit, the bees would just come out of or make another exit, possibly one inside the house of the people living there. That's okay, as are the landlord's friends, and therefore complicit in my mind. We set the date and got everything ready. Then, a few days ago, there was a knock at the door. It was some guy who said they were getting rid of the bee infestation, and could they use my driveway? I was like, yes, take my driveway, my firstborn, whatever you want, just get rid of the bees. Earlier today, I checked my email. Case updated. Kenny did it. The beautiful bastard did it. Now that I know what it's like to get served a notice of violation, I have a good idea of what the last year has been like for this slumlord next door. This process is a huge hassle, and if you don't get things done in the very small time frame you're given, you have to show up to court and show that you're making progress. You have to contact contractors, get quotes, see what your options are, check local legislation, and spend a buttload of money. You know, everything I've been doing for years because of this. I am so grateful that it's over. I can finally use my porch. My husband will stop getting stung. Friends and family with bee allergies can come by and see my house for the first time in a decade. I know this is a little bit of a niche case, but if anyone here is dealing with something similar to this, here's what you need to do. Spam complaints to your local non-emergency line. I don't mean like every day, but at least every year. It will take time. A lot of people won't see your issue as a big deal, and you're probably going to get rejected a lot, so you gotta squeaky wheel that shit. Keep going until you find someone who will actually help you. I know that city government doesn't have the best reputation, and frankly, I kind of agree, or else it wouldn't have taken 9 years to get this problem fixed. But all it takes is one person who believes in what they're doing and wants to help, to push you forward in the legal process. Those people do exist. Make sure your own house is in order before you register complaints about someone else, or you might get hit with a nasty surprise. An inspector looking at your neighbor's property isn't going to turn a blind eye to yours, even if you're the person that requested that they come out. Record everything you can that details the extent of your problem. A photo of a dead bee on my kitchen floor doesn't seem very impactful. 50 different pictures of 50 different dead bees on my kitchen floor over the course of 2 weeks is a different story. I began to record every sting, every incident, and every time their infestation impacted my life. I ended up sending a lot of this information to Kenny, and I believe I really helped show that this was a constant, pressing concern. That said, don't let yourself be a victim to gather evidence. Do what you can to protect yourself. We took pantyhose and rubber bands and covered all of our outdoor ventilation that we could with it. We put weather stripping material around our door frames. We swept the dead bees off the porch every few days so nobody would eat them. Lastly, don't do crazy illegal stuff like, lob wet concrete at your neighbor's house in the dead of night. To be completely honest with you, I did not think it would work, but I was going to do it anyway because I became incredibly desperate and thought that a small chance was better than no chance. Now that I no longer feel like I have to do that, I feel an intense relief, which likely stems from the fact that it was an incredibly stupid idea. So, what did it take to get rid of the bees? $12,000. About 40 bee stings, 2 traumatized dogs, and telling my cousin George he can't attend our family reunion. And of course, some legal advice from you guys. Thanks! Smiley face. Too long didn't read, resolved it in the most boring way possible, gained a new respect for a city government worker. So, unfortunately, there's a reason why noise complaint Karens and, people who abuse the city ordinance tend to get what they want more often. It's because they are the squeaky wheel, like OP said. If something is actively causing harm to your day-to-day life, like an infestation of bees, don't be afraid to be an annoying as shit squeaky wheel, especially if it's hundreds of thousands of bees. I actually once had a friend who lived in a house whose chimney had a wasp infestation. Like, honeybees are already bad enough, but at least it's not wasps, alright? I'm not trying to, downplay what Opie went through, because, any kind of insect infestation is a nightmare. And there certainly wasn't hundreds of thousands of wasps, but at least you don't have an infestation that's actively hunting you down to hurt you, and they're just dumb, confused bees that are a nuisance beyond belief. However, the infestation of wasps were in their chimney. That's something you can deal with. OP had no recourse to deal with the hundreds of thousands of bees infesting their home. How did the neighbor not notice that? If people were actively living in that house, how are you not hey, the walls are vibrating and buzzing, and there's a lot of bees everywhere. Maybe we should do something about that. I, once upon a time saw something that I later learned was called a fucking spider wasp, going into my door frame of my sliding door and building a nest up there. Those things are nightmare fuel looking. I saw that thing flying up into the screen door and crawling in, and I was like, yeah, okay, no, I'm not dealing with that. So I grabbed emergency duct tape and taped off every crevice on that door, bought a ton of wasp killer, put on a bunch of just snow gear, and just hosed that door down. That thing looked scary as hell, and I am not going to find out what it feels like to be stung by something called a fucking spider wasp. Apparently, considering its color, it may have actually also been something even worse called a fucking tarantula hawk. Yeah, I'm... no. Anyways, I'm glad that OP was able to deal with their pest situation, because, that is a nightmare of mine. Oh, hey, it's the outro. I'm gonna go shower after the bee post because now I feel my skin crawling and that's not fun. Anyways, you guys should totally use code Oz at checkout with GamerSupps. You guys have actually been super awesome with using code Oz with GamerSupps because when I was working on the new office upgrade, which, is for the face cam, streaming and all that kind of stuff and just a general upgrade, there were a lot of compromises that I was having to make just because the finances weren't there, and I don't have to make those compromises anymore, literally just because of you guys with GamerSupps. So, just, I can't express how thankful I am for all of the help that you guys have done. So, yeah, use code Oz at checkout, you get 10% off, and it does directly support me, and ways that I can't properly express. So, thank you everyone, and take care.